Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on just DC film, but more specifically DC film on the animation side. So about a month back, I think it was a month, anyway, around a month back or so, we had the first trailer for part 2 of the Crisis on Infinite Earths animated movie event come out, and this was about, I think, 2 weeks or so, after the release of part 1, that we got to watch. Now, based off the first part of the movie event as just well as the trailer for the second part that we got previously, as I said, around a month ago or so, it did seem that the event was, it was going pretty accurate to the story from the comics, or the comic in particular. Now, this was outside of some minor changes in regards to what characters do certain things or specifically use. That's just, yeah, and also some structuring. That's just mainly to allow the thing to flow a bit better and also focus on a character that maybe people are more interested in, rather than introducing this random character for a bit and have them focus for 10 minutes and then just disappear. You just use recognizable characters, so it allowed it to just flow a bit better. But we now have the second trailer for part 2, which I wasn't expecting to get for maybe another month or so, at least this soon after the first trailer that we got, as we didn't have a release date, and we just thought, okay, we'll probably get about a month before the release date or something like that. And that usually happens with a lot of trailers, especially for these home release, if you want to put it, they come out digital or on Blu-ray and stuff like that. But we killed two birds with one stone, I guess, as with the release of this second trailer for part 2, which we'll go over in this video, we also got the release date for part 2. So this second part of 3, there's one more after this part, so the second part will release on April 23rd. So that's about 2 months from now. So it's not a long time away. I think the first trailer, or the trailer for the first part that we got, I think it was a 3-month wait, or maybe it was a 2-month wait as well. But regardless, April 23rd, that fits in pretty well with the release of the first, the first one. That was early January, I think, so about a 3-month wait. And that means that we should probably get part 3 probably around Comic-Con time, if not just after it. Maybe just after, they might do the premiere of the third part at Comic-Con. They tend to do that with some of the animated movies or an animated show. So yeah, that's probably when we're going to get the third part, probably just after Comic-Con, if not around the time of Comic-Con. Now, unfortunately, as has been the case with a lot of the trailers for part 1 as well as the first one for part 2, we actually can't watch the trailer because of copyright. Yes, Warner Brothers just love copywriting things, and they don't just claim the video, they block the video. So we can't do that, but we can show screenshots and talk about things and things like that. So we'll do that. But unfortunately, we can't, actually play the trailer. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts and everything we went over in regards to this. What are you looking forward to the most from this second part? And is there anything that I missed that you caught and be that's pretty interesting? I'm intrigued to see where that goes. And of course, if you enjoyed the video and want to show support, drop a like. It takes 2 seconds. So the first thing to point out is sort of the main focus. Now, the main focus in part 1 was clearly the Flash. Now, the Flash really shouldn't be in this part at all, if not maybe a tease, but I'd expect the Flash really to pop up again in part 3. In part 2, I don't expect anything with him outside of, as I said, maybe a tease for something. But the main focus for this trailer, in my opinion at the very least, is clearly Psycho Pirate, and it's just sort of highlighting how he'll be, I guess, influencing is a good word, both positive and negative, various elements around this portion of the story. And this is achieved via help from the Anti-Monitor. Don't think that's too much of a spoiler. I think you can sort of get a grip on that throughout the trailer, that a nefarious force is a part of this with the Psycho Pirate, though they don't show Anti-Monitor at all in this trailer. At least I don't think they do. So I'm very intrigued to see what they do with him, because they do stuff with him in part 1. They definitely make it clear that this dude's pretty sus. This dude is doing some suspicious things, or he just seems very nefarious. But there's nothing major with him. They're obviously leaving it for part 2 before they would jump into the different antics and shenanigans, if you want to put it, that this character will do. And just based on the trailer, at the very least, is going to be the main focus. And that's sort of surprising, because the first trailer we got for this second part did make it seem like Supergirl was going to be the main focus. But I think with Supergirl in this one, she's a runner-up in regards to focus, though we know she will play a very big role in this part of the story in particular as well. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they balance it compared to what it is in the comic, and how it's, translated onto screen in this, animated movie, as well as how certain events specifically are handled without specifically spoiling what those certain events are and whether those actual certain events even happen. They might not happen. They might change it. They might change it for this adaptation. So that'll be very interesting to see. But at least in regards to this one, the main focus is Psycho Pirate. And yeah, I think he will probably have a decent amount of fun. It's just whether it's fun for the other people that are getting affected by it. Now, one sort of influence, I guess you could say here, is that we do see, I wrote down the team in my notes, but just really the different heroes scattered amongst, the different areas we're seeing in the story turning on each other. So, for example, we do see Batman and some other Bat family members. They all seem to be turning on Batman at this stage and things like that. And we do see some other instances. I think it's Dr. Light versus Green Lantern, I think was the shot in the trailer. John Stewart, not the John Stewart Green Lantern. I was about to say John Stewart Hal Jordan. The John Stewart Green Lantern. We see Dr. Light and him versing each other. So there's going to be some of that going on. I don't know if it's going to take up a too big of a portion. I think it might be more of a distraction thing, but it's also just something that's going to happen. It's obviously an effect that Psycho Pirate amongst other people are putting into play. Now, though I did say, as I said before, there's no proper tease, if you want to put it visually, of the Anti-Monitor. Even though I think we'll most likely get the full reveal of him maybe in this part, in the back half, if not closing stages, a bit of a, oh my god, there he is, and then it leads into part 3. But there's no any of that in the trailer. And I don't think we've seen any artwork for that character. I don't think they've released anything, he's not on the DVD covers or anything like that. I think it's just something that when he pops up, potentially at the end of this part, or in maybe a trailer for part 3, that's when we see him. And so we really have no assumptions based off what he's going to look like, though we should assume he would, I guess, look somewhat like the version from the comics. That seems like it'd be the case. I mean, the Monitor looks like just an adaptation of the one from the comics, so you'd expect the Anti-Monitor to be the exact same. But voice-wise or audio-wise, you can see that they're teasing that there is this larger force at play there. So they're obviously hinting at the Anti-Monitor and even just the effects that are going on with Psycho Pirate as well. That's pretty much just straight up teasing Anti-Monitor without showing him. So I'm very curious to see if we see him at the end of this part, and also who voices him. I wonder if they'll do that. Yeah, anyway, that's for our curiosities to wait upon. But April 23rd, 2 months, not too long, I guess. Now, I did mention Batman sort of being attacked by the other Bat family members, and they say that they're on Earth 2. In the trailer, they say they're specifically on Earth 2. I think we hear Batman say that, but we do see them fighting shadow demons, which had been the case in the first trailer as well. And by the sounds of it, I think it might have been Wonder Woman in the trailer saying it. There will be different heroes on the different Earths facing the shadow demons as well, potentially, if not just straight up at the same time. Of course, they are protecting the tuning forks, so that makes sense that the shadow demons would maybe try to do damage at the same time, even if it is spread out, to try and stop as many Earths as possible from being saved, rather than just trying to focus on one at one point. With us also seeing what I would assume is on another Earth, we do see Solivar, who we'd seen in part 1 from memory, I think we did, and Commandy, aka the last boy on Earth. We see them two together fighting shadow demons. Now, this is from the comic as well. I think these two were together in the comic as well, fighting shadow demons. So yeah, Commandy is weird. You never see Commandy in anything, and now because they're ripping this story from the 80s, all of a sudden Commandy's back in action. So that'll be pretty fun. But speaking of the shadow demons, we do see the shadow demons coming together as one at one point and merging into a bigger being. In the comics, this was just a big shadow demon that they fuse into. But in the movie, they might make it something else, but I would just assume it's just going to be a big shadow demon as well. I mean, even the hands look like a claw, like a shadow demon thing. So I'd assume that's what they're merging into. But I guess we'll wait and see, I guess. But it's turning into it, and all the heroes are like, oh, God, it was annoying versing a couple of these little small ones. Now we have to verse this goddamn big one. So yeah, that should be pretty interesting and fun to watch. Now, one big question heading into this second part of Crisis, considering what the events of the comic is the question of, will the multiverse be fully destroyed at the end of this part? Or will we follow the comics where there is sort of a protection part of them and the rest of the story continues in part 3? There are going to be a lot of things going on leading into part 3, and I feel like this second part will be a lot of internal conflict, like the team fighting each other and just various nefarious things like that via Psycho Pirate, and just set up leading into that final part, while also standing on its own to an extent, at least in regards to maybe some specific characters. But one big thing that will happen in this part isn't really being teased, but I would assume it happens, and it's in regards to a character we talked about before, because I don't think you could allow the story to continue without allowing that event to happen. I won't spoil it just in case, but I feel like that event, actually, there's probably a couple events that I think have to happen in this second part. I think for that story to continue in a way that I think works, unless they change it where different characters fall into that event. Once again, I don't want to spoil it, but if you know Crisis, you probably know what I'm referring to. Um, that's what I'm interested about, because like changing that could upset people. I mean, people were upset that Supergirl was Harbinger from part one. Like, I saw a tweet where someone was blowing up about it and people were agreeing, and I didn't really care too much. I thought, I guess just whatever, you do that. But people were really angry with it. So if people change these big parts from the comics and certain events that sort of lead to, later things in the story, well, people get upset. I think they have to do it, but then, I don't know, they might change it because they might want to keep a character around, but we'll wait and see what they do. But I think this part of the 3-part movie, so the second part, is covering mostly the events from issues 4 through to 7 of the comic series. So if you want to catch up and know where to stop, it's probably that. Though some of part 8 or issue 8 could be a part of this as well. It just depends on how they want to end this part of the story, I guess, before leading into part 3. But at least it would have 4 through to 7 as the main base, and maybe like a third or half of what's in issue 8. But yeah, that's just my assumptions, or my estimations, might I say, based off what I'm seeing in the trailer and just what I think they would naturally do in this story when adapting it for a 3-part movie thing. So yeah, that's my thoughts at the very least. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of this and what you're looking forward to the most from this second part. Do you have any thoughts in regards to any changes they might make? Let me know. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.